Yeah, in 2000, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Um, and I was horrified. I should say, I was more, more frightened of the treatments than the disease. But as soon as I got into it, I began to pick up on an aspect of American culture I had never encountered before. And that was this constant pressure to be positive, to think positively. If you want to get over your disease, you have to be positive about it. You have to visualize good outcomes, et cetera, et cetera. In fact, it goes so far in the case of not just of breast cancer, but other cancers, that you will find people arguing that cancer is a gift, that you are going to come out of it more evolved, more spiritual. Lance Armstrong once said it's the best thing that ever happened to him. And my own personal feeling was, if that's your idea of a gift, take me off your Christmas list. No.
How did the doctor, were the medical establishment part of that whole positive notion? Because I think when inevitably I get cancer, I'm heading straight to a tavern, which has always been my solution to life's troubles. But what about the medical establishment? It seems to me, and you detail it a bit in your book, is, if not conflicted by that whole notion, of course they would like people to be positive about the upcoming treatments and be optimistic. But how do they buy into it or not?
Well, among those who follow the different studies, there has been controversy, and I should say now it's just about no question. What your attitude is does not determine whether you are going to recover from breast cancer, lung cancer, or neck cancer. Those are the ones that have been studied anyway. So the tide, I think, is turning a little bit just in the last 2 years with all this, the new research. And that, to me, that's very good to know, because I really did not like the feeling that it was, up to me to recover or not. You guys, you've got the technologies, you've got the drugs. You invented this disease, you detected it. Now fix it, and let me just be as sullen as I like.
It's kind of the whole notion of this positive thinking then becomes it's kind of a pseudoscience, isn't it? That this belief system, right? That you can.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You will find academics even arguing that. Can you hear? That that this is all true, that if you want to live long and be healthier and recover from illnesses, you have to be positive. Now, there may, in the case of cardiac disease, be something more to that. I just don't know enough about this, but that's in cardiac disease, being stressed out and everything is not good. I mean, we know that extreme stress is bad. Enough lab animals have died to make that point. If you torture them enough, their immune systems fail. They're in terrible shape. That does not mean that smiling is going to help you recover from a major disease, though.
Once this, as you started and Barbara has, and explore, by the book, of course, but explore her background, because it's a fascinating background of, chemistry. I mean, she read a lot when she was younger. Chemistry, a PhD in theoretical physics. Doesn't that surprise you?
Biology.
I don't know the difference between theoretical physics and biology. Some kind of science thing. Which she thinks enabled her to, and I think it's absolutely true, to be able to learn about anything. After your experience here, and then you started exploring other aspects of you want to call it the positive thinking movement? How do you?
Well, I put this whole cancer thing out of my mind for a few years.
Yeah.
And then in about 2004, 2005, I was doing research on laid off white collar people who have been downsized from their corporate jobs, and even before the recession, there was a lot of that. I'm sure there are people here who have survived downsizings and layoffs before it. So I was entering into the world of downsized white-collar people and was astounded to hear the same kind of ideology that had surrounded cancer. It's not a bad thing to lose your job. It's a growth opportunity. Embrace it. It could be one of the best things that ever happened to you. And if you want to, quote, recover, to use the cancer analogy, if you want to get another job, you better be smiling and positive and upbeat at all times. And I thought, whoa, there's something going on here that I have to investigate. And then I began to find that just about anywhere I looked in our culture.
There are any number of revelations in this book, and one that I'd never thought of. I've been to mega churches before, but the one thing that you reminded me of is there's, in most of them, there's very little iconography in there. There are no pictures of Christ. It's cheerleading.
Oh, yeah. I went to America's largest megachurch, which is the Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas, Joel Osteen's church. And they say they serve 40,000 people every Sunday. But the thing that took me back was that there's nothing churchly about it or any other megachurch I've been in. No images of Jesus, no crosses, nothing, except in the gift store, where you could get like Argyle socks with little crosses knitted into them if you want. But otherwise, no. And because the whole message of the church is that you get from the preachers is God wants you to be rich. God wants you to have the best stuff, the biggest house, fastest car, etc. And if you think about that and start thinking about Jesus, you might get, the Jesus story is a bit of a downer. It's about a homeless, vagrant guy who ends up being tortured to death. So let's just screen that out, okay, and concentrate on getting stuff.
Do you find that message insidious?
Well, I'm don't know. I would say that there are a lot of genuine Christians. See, I was raised as an atheist, and I hew to that non-belief stance ever since. So it's very interesting to me that so many Christians have been so disturbed about this kind of positive thinking mentality and how it's taken over evangelical Christianity. Not Catholicism. Catholicism's been pretty immune, but evangelical Christianity.
Well, I admire you becoming an atheist. I would do the same thing, but there are no holidays. The thing I mentioned last night, and Barbara and I had a lovely conversation at this Harold Washington Awards dinner, that one of the things that I will ever remember from this book is, and I mentioned this last night too, is that George Bush was a cheerleader in college, and that also that cheerleading is much like jazz, a particular American invention. I don't remember if we got into it last night. Am I putting too much importance on that? I find it fascinating because he too was one of these, the positive thinkers in the White House.
Oh, yeah. I think he really understood his job in the White House to be a continuation of that cheerleading gig. Huh. That he was the kind of optimist in chief. How many times did he tell us everything was fine, everything was okay, the economy was okay, Katrina, New Orleans was in good hands, et cetera, et cetera. And the conduct of the Iraq War, or the fact that we even invaded Iraq, certainly reflects that kind of mindless, well, it's not only optimism there, I don't know what was going on, but Condoleezza Rice has spoken about, she wanted to raise some doubts about the invasion of Iraq, but you couldn't say those sorts of things around the president because he, quote, hated pessimists.